Hi there and welcome to my video. So happy to have you here today. I'm going to make a mixed media piece on 7 by 10 mixed media paper. It's a heavier, I think it's around 140-pound paper. And this is a simple way I get started. I use scrapbook paper or any other kind of collage paper just to kind of get my way in. It's a simple way to start quickly without worrying too much about what it's going to look like because I know I can cover it up with layers of paint, stamps, and different papers later on. So these are just some colors I kind of assembled beforehand. I like to look through my supplies and see what's available and just what appeals to me. A lot of my art has to do with what I like, and I don't really think too hard about it. I just go with what feels good in the moment. And I think that's what a lot of art is just expressing how you feel and what you like. And I always feel like that's a good barometer to use. So I'm using some paint to create another layer. This is a turquoise blue and white kind of blended together. And just letting some drips fall and trying to make the paper not so obvious. A lot of times it feels like that first layer is a little bright and too much, so I use some paint to go over and make another layer just to put it in the background a little bit. So there's kind of a little bit of a second layer with the paint. Sorry for the shaking. I think I was shaking the table. And now I am using a kind of a golden yellow and muting it out with a little white. And this creates a little more dimension with a different color. The theme of this seems to be a little blue, a little yellow, a little white. Kind of all presents itself as I go. I try not to think too hard about it and just enjoy the process. Keep moving, keep my paint moving, keep my hand moving, and just go with what feels good. So this is a stencil I'm using. I am applying regular paint to it with a paintbrush, which I don't normally do. I try to blot it in. So it did work out okay in that first layer. But then I wanted to add a little more, so I tried to realign it, which is kind of a tricky thing to do because then it might be on the underside of the actual stencil, which kind of happened to me. So it got a little messy, but it's okay. Just kind of let it go and let it dry for the moment. So next I'm adding some deli paper. These are deli paper prints I made on my jelly plate. I do have a video on how to do that and a few ways to print on deli paper with my inkjet printer and also just making prints on deli paper. I'll link them below. And then as you can see, I'm going through with my palette knife. This is a great tool to use to kind of create a different dimension of texture on any piece. And just trying to blend in that paper a little bit. I felt like this was getting a little monotone in the background, so I wanted to add another color. I'm using bubble wrap. This is something everyone can use. And just kind of stamping around some fluorescent pink. Such an easy tool that you can find in any packaging. And I use this over and over. It's a great little stamp. And that blue piece of paper didn't really sit well with me from the very beginning. It's kind of funny. I thought I really liked it, but then it was just a little too obvious to me. So I tried to blend it in a little with white and yellow. And then turning the paper always helps create different perspective. So there is another print on my deli paper that I printed on my inkjet printer. And I put it on with the satin medium. You just have to be really careful when you're putting down any kind of inkjet print because with the medium you can smear it on the top. And there are ways to avoid that. You can spray it with a fixative, or you can put a layer of medium from a jelly plate onto it. I just did not do that for this one. So I was just trying to be careful not to smear it. And I'm just adding some more deli paper prints to add kind of a pop of color, a little green in the corners. And then that little spot was a perfect place for my sentiment, gentle. You could see how translucent it is, but it is a pretty strong paper, the deli paper. I actually wrote that, so it has a lot of different uses. So now I'm actually going in with my Micron pen. This is not a black pen. I got a dark gray, just to kind of give a little dimension so it's not so obvious. The great thing about microns is what you just see right there. I made a mistake, and you can wipe it off real quick and fix it, but if you let it go for too long, it is permanent and they don't smudge or smear. So they're very versatile. I use it for lettering, and as you can see, making some outlines. And then I also like to use it to kind of identify objects, outline them. And it's also what I use to create the word gentle on the deli paper. So it's a really great pen. I'd say between that one and the Posca pens, they're my favorite. So again, just going in and identifying some objects, outlining, just kind of trying to bring out the details of some of the work. And I felt like that brown kind of just stood out so much. I wanted to add some softer color to it. So I'm using the white pen just to kind of color it in, outline it, blend it a little more into the background. If you blot it too fast, it does take it up. This part of the process, there's a lot of editing for me. It's kind of just looking at it, seeing if I like it. What else could I add? What could I take away? So this was a green gold that I used. I'm blending it with just titanium white and creating just a little splatter to kind of bring some interest, different color around the piece. And it also ties it in with the two greenish colors, corners, because that was the color I used for the corner pieces. So next I'm just using a little of the fluorescent pink and white and coloring in some more of the boxes. Kind of becomes a little bit of a meditation. I have to kind of edit myself, make sure I don't just keep going. I just go until I feel like I like it and it feels balanced to me. So that little spot up top, I felt like it needed a little something. That is a piece of a print on deli paper. It was just kind of a stamp that I had cut out, and it was on tan paper, so it gave a little bit of a color variation. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you again. Have a great day.